Welcome to the show. Picture this. Boardroom, 8:30 on a Tuesday. Big screen up, green dashboard everywhere, LTIs down, posters on the wall saying safety first, and someone's very pleased with themselves because the org chart now says head of safety instead of safety manager. Meanwhile, out on site, the same shortcut is still happening. The same weak barrier is still missing, and the same near miss is warming up for a sequel. That, right there, is how leaders get themselves into strife. Not because they don't care, usually they do. It's because they start managing optics instead of defenses. Meetings, slogans, titles, polished dashboards, all the theatre of control. Looks terrific, like lipstick on a loader bucket. And look, visible activity is not useless. Meetings can matter. Dashboards can help. Titles? Fine. Call yourself Supreme Galactic Safety Wizard if that lights your candle. But none of those things are the safety system. The system is the bit that actually stops the bad day. The risk assessment that gets done properly. The procedure that matches the job as it is really done. The competent supervision. The maintained equipment. The hazard warning that reaches the worker before the worker reaches the hazard. One of the bluntest truths in investigation work is this: a good safety record does not automatically mean a safe organisation. I've seen places go long stretches without a serious incident, and everyone starts walking around like they've solved gravity. Then bang! Rollover, plant interaction, high potential near miss at a level crossing, whatever it is. And suddenly everyone acts surprised. They shouldn't be. The clues were there. Repeated deviations, same workarounds, same overdue actions, same passive tolerance of rubbish behaviour because, well, nothing bad happened last time. That's the trap. Humans are suckers for outcome bias. If the outcome was okay, we tell ourselves the system must be okay. Nope. Sometimes you were safe. Sometimes you were just lucky. Big difference. ICAM has always been useful because it drags the conversation away from who stuffed up and back to what conditions made this possible. It forces you to ask whether there were absent or failed defences, what task and environmental conditions were sitting there, what individual or team actions happened at the sharp end, and what organisational factors were quietly setting the table weeks, months, sometimes years earlier. And if you're a leader, that matters more than whatever your business card says. I don't care if the title is HSE, WHS, SAHEQ, Safety Business Partner, Safety Lead, Grand Poobah of Compliance. Terrific. Frame it. Put it next to your values poster. But if repeated incidents keep happening under the surface, if the same weak controls are still in place, if your recommendations keep landing in the soft, fluffy end of town, retrain, remind, rebrief, re-email, then you're not running a robust system. You're curating appearances. So here's the test for Chapter 1. When you look at your safety function, are you seeing evidence of control or just evidence of activity? Because one of those prevents harm, the other just fills calendars. Now, when something does go pear-shaped, good leaders have a very boring, very unsexy job. They fund, ask, and verify. That's it. Not grandstanding, not hunting for one mug to pin it on, not demanding a report by Friday with all the awkward bits sanded off. Fund means you resource the investigation properly. The right lead investigator, the right technical people, access to documents, access to the scene, time to gather evidence before it gets contaminated by weather, tidy-up crews, memory drift, or everyone having a yarn in the crib room and accidentally synchronizing their stories. Data gathering is not a treasure hunt done on Smoko. Done properly, it starts early, follows a method, and uses actual evidence. PEPO is handy here. People, environment, equipment, procedures, organization. Brainstorm the sources first, then go and test them. Mark 1 to Mark 2. Facts, not folklore. Ask means leaders ask better questions. Who set the conditions? What control failed or was absent? What changed in the system? Was there a management of change issue? Was the work different, the staffing different, the equipment different, the schedule tighter, the supervision thinner, the job now being done with undocumented know-how and a prayer? Because change is where a lot of executive fingerprints live. Verify means you don't just nod through the report because it has a nice cover page and a traffic light action table. You check whether the findings are actually supported by the evidence and whether the recommendations deal with the failed defenses and organisational factors, not just the person at the sharp end. Let me give you a classic pattern. A worker does something dumb-looking. Maybe a grader reverses near workers on foot without a spotter. Maybe a forklift operator gets struck by their own machine on night shift in a warehouse. On the lazy version, the finding becomes operator error. Beautifully useless. On the proper version, you ask why that action made sense at the time. Was there no risk assessment? No positive communication? No separation barrier? No spotter process used? Unsafe proximity normalized? Supervision absent? Previous non-compliance tolerated? That's where the learning lives. And here's the hard bit leaders don't always enjoy hearing. If you tolerate workarounds, weak supervision, poor procedures, or unfinished corrective actions, then you are part of the problem. Not metaphorically, causally. If your people regularly skip a pre-start, improvise the job, work outside procedure because the job as planned is fantasy, and nobody fixes it, then don't act shocked when an ICAM chart points back to organisation, communication, training, risk management, contractor management, management of change, all the fun stuff. Good investigators already know human memory is fallible, interviews can be contaminated, and witnesses can be sincere but wrong. That's why we don't diagnose from a single statement. We gather, organise, analyse, learn. GOAL. Nice little acronym, but the point is dead serious. If leaders want quality after an incident, they should demand disciplined data, a logical timeline, clear identification of absent or failed defences, and findings that show how the system lined up the shot. Because once you see that pattern enough times, you stop asking, who failed us, and start asking, what did we build that made failure likely? That's when leadership actually starts earning its keep. Here's the uncomfortable test. Don't wait for the fatality. Don't even wait for the serious injury. Use the stuff that nearly got you. High potential incidents. Rollovers with no injury. Level crossing events where someone got away with it by 11 seconds and blind luck. Plant near misses. Those are not freebies. They are advance invoices. Take the level crossing example. On the surface, police say the truck driver ran the flashing lights. Case closed. Everyone go home. But when you dig properly, it gets uglier and more useful. The induction loop was in a non-standard position. The warning time was cut. The train was doing 42 kilometers an hour in a 25 zone. The driver was operating remotely from the front footwell, outside original design intent. Sun glare made the signals hard to see. Trees masked the line. Previous near misses had already waved the flag. That's not one bloke having a brain fade. That's a system stacking the deck. Same with vehicle rollovers. If a ute rolls on a wet, unsealed road after days of rain, and you find no formal journey management plan, no task risk assessment for lone remote driving, inconsistent road condition alerts, passive toleration of speeding, and overdue corrective actions from 8 previous rollovers in 18 months, mate, the incident is not the mystery. The mystery is why leadership needed number 9 before taking it seriously. And this is where management of change matters. Work changes, equipment changes, staffing changes, contractors change, production tempo changes. A one-person train operation, a revised testing method, a shift in who supervises what. If leadership approves or tolerates those changes without admitting they are changes, then the risk gets traded in the shadows. ICAM findings often reveal that. Quiet drift, no formal review, no bridging controls, plenty of confidence, not much discipline. So what should leaders demand instead? Recommendations that are smarter, specific, measurable, accountable, reasonable, Timely, effective, and reviewed. Not vague motherhood statements like, ensure staff are reminded. Cheers, that'll stop the next rollover. A proper action has an owner, a date, a control type, and a way to verify effectiveness. And if all your actions live at the administrative end, more meetings, more training, more signs, more signatures, ask yourself why higher order controls weren't pursued. Eliminate, substitute, isolate, engineer. Admin and PPE have their place, but let's not pretend a toolbox talk is the same as a robust defense. Final thing. Every leader should occasionally grab a recent investigation and ask 3 brutal questions. 1. Did we identify what actually failed, or just who was available to blame? 2. Did we fix the organisational factors and failed defences, or did we decorate the report with action verbs? 3. Did we review whether the fix worked, or did we close it in the system and move on because the dashboard likes green? Because that's the line, isn't it? Are you running a safety function, or just decorating a risk problem? Have a think about that. Catch you next time.